live?
We are live on Under the Golden Dome with the three amigos and their special guest, Stan Smigala.
And the
Chicago's
hitman.
finest. Wes Pritchett, Frank Stams, Mike Stonebreaker, Stan Smigala, all not in prison, all together, unfiltered, getting ready for the Notre Dame Georgia Tech game. We're going to talk about the Tech game coming up, and we're going to summarize the Stanford game, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to it. Stan, how you doing?
Good, guys. How you guys doing?
Dude, we have Irish fans. We have Under the Golden Dome the greatest storyteller in the history of Irish football. He's going to tell his stories tonight, and half of them, all right, he can't tell because the statute of limitations isn't up yet. And the other half, he's forbidden from telling because of his probation settlement. So,
Dan, I have a question for you.
Stan the Hitman.
Stan, I have a question for you. With that ankle brace on, how are you allowed to go across state lines?
Permission.
Permission? You had to get it cleared?
I actually asked the Pope. The Pope granted his permission for me.
And he's tethered to Frank, so they're both in good shape right now.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. You guys have your ankles tied together?
I got the three amigos right in my forehead over here. The picture.
That's nice. That's where it ought to be.
That doesn't. You show up clean. I don't know why that. I don't know. Why.
Wes, does that show my the three amigos over my head?
No, I don't see it.
Oh, good, good. Well, I see it.
Yeah, that's just. I don't know.
I don't see it. I went in. You can see my background. That's fake.
So this is the first time I've seen these three linebackers looking at me. I've always seen their ass on the field.
That's right.
So, first time.
I don't know how I'm supposed to interpret
Who
that.
had the nicest ass?
You know what?
Andrew has the best ass, Stanley.
I saw Stam's ass a little too much on my side, so.
Well, Pritchett's ass has a bunch of brown shit on it, so you don't want to look at it.
Wes's ass was part of his back. It was just flat.
Who are you talking about?
So Stan and I were freshmen together in the same freshman class, freshmen of 1986. It was me, Stan, and everybody else.
Correct.
And
That's
out
right.
of the 8 other Catholic League of Chicago guys that came in our class, 2 of them went 4 years and played football for 4 years at Notre Dame. So 6 of those guys didn't complete
I got to tell
either
you a
the
story.
university
We'll get
or
into that. We'll let Stan talk about that, Stoney, because you bring up an awesome point. I just got to say, I grew up in a little private school
wait a
in
second,
Atlanta with these preppy kids. I get to Notre Dame, blue-collar kids, tough kids. These kids from Chicago were on another planet. Smigala's group came in. They were all benching. Pearson was benching 400 pounds as a freshman, I think. Wasn't he? Zaleski, Zagelski. Who were all the guys that came in, Stan? Give us a 30-second story on all of them.
This was in my senior year class at St. Lawrence. We had myself. We had Tim Grunhard.
Grooney.
Jeff Pearson, Mike Harrison, and we had another guy, Paul Galanick, who was the number 1 player, I think, in the country besides John Foley, who was from St. Rita coming out of high school.
He was a super healer, John Foley.
He was a what?
A super healer. He healed faster than other people.
Yes.
But anyways, I digress.
Yes, and he was my roommate for my first
I think it was
2 years.
him and Dan Quinn that were onto that, weren't they?
Yeah. Dan healed really quick on the in the boxing ring.
Hold on, we love John, just so that you know that.
John was my roommate for 2 years. I love John Foley.
No, but wait, who was the other guy? There was
So here's all the guys from. These are the guys from Chicago. We had myself, Tim Grunhard, Mike Harrison, Paul Galanick, Jeff Pearson. That was out of my high school. Then we had out of St. Rita, we had John Zaleski, John Foley, who was the #1 player in the country in high school, and Jason Sigelski.
Sigelski. That's the guy. Sigelski.
Jason Sigelski. So that was 8 guys. On his way to Notre Dame, Paul Galanick got kicked out.
Yeah.
On his way to Notre Dame.
Yep.
He never,
So that's
he never
one
stepped
down.
foot on campus.
There's one guy down. Then Mike Harrison got hurt. He said he ended up graduating, but he didn't play with us. He played 1 or 2 years. And then you had Jeff Pearson, who's in Costa Rica jail. So he got kicked out.
For murder.
And then the other 2 guys from St. Rita, they got kicked out.
Well,
And I was
can
all
just
in their
remember-
class when they got kicked out.
I can't remember if it was Zaleski or Zigelski because I can't remember them. The difference between the two of them. One of them fell off the balcony when we were out at
That was
Summer Camp.
that
You
was
remember
John
that?
Zaleski.
That was Zaleski.
That was Zaleski. Zaleski was our backup punter that was like 6'3", 290.
Do you know the story about the guy falling off the balcony? Like he's miracle he didn't die.
He's an incredible athlete.
He landed on
very
his feet like a
He
cat.
landed like a cat. He landed on all 4s.
He's a punter. He's
so-
real flexible.
There's no short of there's 50 questions that just, but over the last 2 minutes just comes to mind, and I want to ask Stan. And I guess the first question I want to ask is, how does the guy get thrown out of the university on his way to the university?
That is just the Chicago way. That's Southside Chicago.
There is no doubt, brother.
Yeah. And he
Well,
got kicked. He got kicked
I
out
don't
of.
think-
On his way, he
I'm
got
trying to
kicked out of U of I.
explain-
He got kicked out of Iowa,
What did he
and
do?
he's the greatest guy.
But how did he get kicked out before? What happened?
You know what? I don't think statute of limitations haven't passed, so I can't even explain it.
Well, it doesn't matter.
But here's a guy that he went into 5 different colleges and played, I think, only 5 games, and he still got drafted in the 5th round.
Is that
I
right?
heard he was what was he, like 6'5"?
No, he was 6'6", 300 pounds. He ran a 4.5. He was an animal.
Yeah, I heard
He was a freak.
He was a freak.
Ridiculous athlete. Now I do remember Zaleski and Zigelski because I think they were at Pangborn, and they put him in Pangborn because I think they wanted really to have me as under my
A
guidance.
mentor.
Yeah, as a mentor, and I got to know.
How'd that
Jason.
work out?
Well, not so well. I tried. Put it
I got to
this way.
tell you a funny story, and I don't even know if Stoney will remember this. So remember when we had little brothers on the team? You remember?
Kind
And
of.
yeah. So everybody would come through and say, "Well, I'm picking my big brother is going to be Frank Stams." Everybody would be like, "Oh, that's fantastic." Everybody. My big brother's going to be Terry Andrews. Like, all right. And Stoney comes through and says, "My big brother's going to be Wes Pritchett." And everybody starts dying laughing. I'm like, what the fuck? Why does everybody think that's so funny? So I said, Stoney, I don't know if you remember this. I'm like thinking to myself, all right, I'm going to try to keep him on the straight and narrow. Of course, I never did. You got thrown out and you were ineligible the next year. Your
kept
big
telling
brother
me to-
didn't direct you very well.
I don't remember.
I
that.
kept going to the library, and Wes never showed up at the library, and so I didn't.
I
know
kept
what to
telling you I
do.
was going to meet you there at 8 o'clock.
I was there.
Well, just to be
I
fair,
was at that library
I
every
got
day, and I
thrown
never
out-
saw any
hey,
of you guys there.
I got thrown out my freshman year, so I'm not trying to say that I was an angel. It's just a fun. This is unfiltered. This is unfiltered.
You're under the Golden Dome with Wes Pritchett, Michael Stonebreaker, Frank Stams, and our very, very special guest this afternoon, Stan the Hitman Smigala, a outstanding cornerback, played on the '88 Irish National Championship team, and went on to have a great career, I think, with the Cowboys, I believe.
It's the short career. I wouldn't say a great career, but a short career.
Well, we just embellished the shit out of everything.
Long enough to get a pension, baby. That's all that matters.
Yes, that's right. That's what. And right now, I'm at the Cleveland Clinic getting my
Yes.
brain checked, my body checked. Ouch.
Well, you
Football.
know, Stan, you told me about that. I guess it was 5 years ago because you could do it every 5 years. And I looked into it, and I did the same thing at North Carolina. 5 years ago, and I need to check in. That was amazing. Well, the thing that's amazing about it is you would never be able to see all those specialists, and it'd take you 5 years to get those appointments, and you see them all in 2 days.
It's
You
amazing.
get to see
Stoney,
everything in
you
your
need to
body checked out. It really is amazing.
Stoney, you need to do it. It's
Oh,
Have you done it, Stoney?
Yeah, they have it
done it?
down here at Tulane.
They have it at Tulane.
yes, they have a Tulane.
I'm here to provide oversight for the doctors so that Stan's getting the proper
Frank, are you
treatment.
his chaperone so he gets back to the facility?
No, I'm providing professional oversight to make sure that the doctors are doing the right thing.
So I'm gonna tell you, all you football fans. So I'm sitting in this meeting, and there's a gentleman next to me, big guy, and I'm like, "How old are you?" He's like, "I'm 82 years old." I go, "What's your name?" He's Paul Krause. I don't know if you guys know who this is. He played for.
He's a Notre Dame
I
guy.
said, "Oh, he went to Notre Dame." He said,
No.
"No, dumb shit." He goes, "That's Mike Krause
Yeah.
that we went to school with."
Mike, remember Mike got shot
He was
several
in,
times.
he was
in
in
the
our,
stomach.
he was in,
Dude, you got
he was
shot
in our
like
class.
5
wasn't he?
times.
He got 5 times shot in the stomach. Mike is tough. Mike
It
is
kept
tough.
coming.
He didn't even know he got shot.
That's freaking.
That's
I saw
amazing.
him recently
Upper
at an
stoop.
event. He's got a kid. He's got a kid that's a stud football player. That's
Oh,
playing
yeah.
at Boston College, I think. Does that sound right?
Yeah, Mike's a great. But let me finish my stories about this Mike, this Paul Krause. So I'm just talking to him, and I'm like, "How many years you played in the NFL?" He's like, "Well, I played 16 years in the NFL as a free safety." He's 6'3", 220 pounds. Now he's 82 years old now, so he was huge back then. He's the leading interception leader in the NFL history. 81 interceptions.
Are you serious?
81
Where the hell?
interceptions.
Oh, he was at the hospital.
He's at the hospital checking his brain out.
81
Interceptions.
interceptions.
Yeah. Now,
How about that
you got
one?
to take that with a grain of salt because he's here and they're checking his brain out.
Yeah, I checked him out. He's got the record in the NFL.
Well, the
Hall
good
of Famer.
news is
He's a Hall of Famer.
that you don't
81.
see many ex-NFL. Hey, you don't see a lot of ex-NFL guys in their 80s, so that's good.
So
Maybe we
so
got
we're
a
talking.
shot.
There's a whole bunch of guys we're talking. He goes, I had 81 interceptions. I was like, damn, I almost caught you. I was 81 short.
That's like I was telling Stoney, my kid was in 6th grade. He catches a ball in the end zone in his first game, takes it back for a touchdown, interception for a touchdown. He's all excited after the game. He said, "Dad, how many of those did you have?" I said, "1 less than you."
Well, I got to thank this man. 3 years. I was a 3-year starter at Notre Dame, and the only play that most people remember is my interception at USC, is because this man hit Rodney Pete. The ball came out of his arm like a dead bird and landed in my arms, and was able to run it for a touchdown.
Hey,
That was a fun game.
Stan, I actually watched that play a couple days ago. You broke on that ball hard, man. That was a hard out route. I saw you jump on it hard, and you took
was
it to
a
the
dart.
house,
That
man.
was,
You didn't need Frank for that play.
That's right.
No,
In fact,
no, homeboy-
let me tell you,
hey.
the right offensive tackle did a great job of just sending me all the way upfield where I'm in the position now. I'm watching the play develop. And Rodney Pete throws, I'm 5 yards behind Rodney Pete, and he throws a dart to the out, and Stan breaks on it, jumps in front of it, and catches it. Now I'm in great position to peel back on Rodney Pete and get that block.
That's
I was
You didn't hit him before he threw it. You hit him
I had
after.
that just goes to show you, I had a complete negative on that play, but because of the turnover, people think that, wow, what a great job he did. I was just dumb luck.
Well,
Right, well, Stan.
Do you realize today, number one, that would be a penalty. You can't hit anybody defenseless, which we looked for those hits back in our day, as you know. But how about this? Remember when an offensive lineman, the big guys would be coming around pulling, and you would just, at least for me, I would just throw yourself into their knees and their, whatever, take them out. You can't do that on defense anymore.
Can't
It's
do
a
anything. Did you
penalty
see that?
for the defensive guy to hit the guy in the knees.
So, 100%.
I didn't know that.
Last night I'm watching the game. Aaron Rodgers. You got to
The worst play I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
You guys see that?
I don't know about the play, but I was talking about his post-game remarks. He came out and blasted the officials on both sides. He even said the one late hit on him was a
Well,
bad.
I can tell you
And
something, dude.
I think the officiating both at the pro and the college level is the worst it's ever been.
There is absolutely no doubt about that. I had this conversation with a friend of mine today. I 100% think the NFL is rigged. The Jets had 21 accepted penalties. 21. That's a lot, guys. In four quarters.
The sack that they gave as a penalty was the
21 accepted penalties. And a lot of those were pass interference calls. So, it's like 25, 30 yards. It was crazy. I hate seeing stuff.
can tell.
I mean, you go back and look at the Kansas City Chiefs, all the plays.
You're not going to get a word in, Stoney.
Go ahead, Stoney.
No. You go ahead, Wes.
No. I was just going to say all the calls against the Chiefs are ridiculous.
Let's get back to the Notre Dame Stanford game here
There we
on.
go.
You're under the Golden Dome.
Under the Golden Dome with Frank Stams, Wes Pritchett, and Michael Stonebreaker. We have today our distinguished guest, Stan Smigala, 3-year
Oh, and this shirt, guys. Frank,
for the Irish '88 national champions.
This is one of the most comfortable shirts I've ever worn.
Thank you. Quality.
Quality.
And it actually it makes my muscles a little bigger.
Frank, did you knit that?
12 and 0 right here.
Ladies, he's ripped. Yeah. I said, Stan, what size are you, a large or a medium? He said, a medium. I said, damn, man, you're in great.
That's weird, Stan. Mine says 12 and 0 on it too, man.
Look at that. Holy moly.
Anyway,
That's a linebacker bicep.
a championship apparel that the 88 team is putting together, and we're hoping to add the 24 team. And portion of the proceeds go back to Notre Dame NIL effort and Holtz's Heroes. So
Most comfortable shirt. This is the
No,
softest.
really is. They are great shirts.
The great shirt.
Thank you. Now, during the Notre Dame game, that like in the third quarter, the Stanford kid came in on the Notre Dame quarterback and got a 15-yard late hit penalty on the Notre Dame quarterback, and he held him up, and the offensive guy hit him and he just kind of fell down. He didn't slam him down. He didn't put anything extra into it, and they threw a 15-yard penalty for roughing the passer.
It's
ridiculous.
almost gotten to the point where you just can't touch a quarterback. They're
Right.
going to have to do. It's because
Right.
guys, you know how the thing that drives me crazy about those kind of rulings is you're fighting full speed against some 300-pound guy. You get around the corner, you got a split second to do something, and the guy's letting the ball go at the same time. It's not like that. The guy didn't have bad intentions. It was just playing football. Anyway,
Yep.
I think it's ridiculous some of the calls they're making now. But what do you do? I don't know.
I
What
love
do you think the solution is,
playing.
Stan? What do you think
I
the
loved it when
solution
we played.
is?
We were able to hit anybody coming across the field. It was game on.
Yeah, that's the way they coached us. It wasn't like it wasn't even like we were, doing it some kind of outlaw way. That's the way they coached us. If somebody crossed your face,
Well, think
Light
about
them
it.
up.
They taught us to hit with our face mask. We put our head
Light
across.
them up if they cross your face. Nobody crosses your face.
Nobody
Light
crosses
them
your
up.
Yeah. All I know is, I was a corner, and I had to make so many tackles because these 3 All-Americans were in the middle, and nobody wanted to run to them, so they all came bouncing over on my side, and I just had to pray I had to get it back inside.
I thought he was going to say because we missed so many times.
Yeah, I did too.
No. They'd run in the middle. It was all black. They'd coming up.
That's good.
You look back at that '88 season, Stan. Of course, we started, with Michigan, but even before that, and think back, and we'll call it training camp or preseason. We started with Michigan, and then mid-season we're at Miami, and then Southern Cal at the end of the year in West Virginia. You got a great a best memory or one of the best memories in any of those games that you remember going into, or the coaching staff. Who was your coach? Who was the secondary coach? Was it
He was very forgettable.
Oh, Heater, wasn't it?
Yeah, Chuck Heater.
Chuck Heater. Yeah, he was very forgettable.
Yeah.
He was a nice guy, though.
He was a nice guy, but
Yeah.
you know, it was unfortunate for me. I had a DB coach at Notre Dame that never played defense, so I really didn't learn too much. Then I go to Dallas, and I had Dave Campbell, who was a DB coach, never played football. Actually, I'll tell you a funny story. This is my rookie year, and I have Isaac Holt. Now, Isaac Holt is a 6'2", 220-pound corner, and Dave Campbell's telling him, he stands him up, and he's like, Isaac, you can't hold on to him. You got to do this, you got to do that. And Isaac Holt, 6'2", Dave Campbell's 5'5", and he's looking down at him, and he goes, you ever play high school football? He goes, what? He goes, you ever play high school football? He goes, like, yeah. He goes, you ever play college football? He goes, well, no. So you didn't play in the NFL? He goes, no. Why? He goes, like, shut the fuck up. That was my first day of my training camp.
That's fucking
Next
awesome.
day, Jimmy Johnson's in our room.
Took over.
Yeah, he had to take over, check out. But yeah, I didn't have too many. He wasn't too good DB
Who
coaches.
was in the backfield with you?
I had Todd Light, who's
Todd?
I hope he joins my friend here, Stonebreaker, as a college Hall of Fame player. Todd was just an unbelievable defensive back corner.
Out of Flint,
Everybody
Michigan.
knows that.
Yeah.
Just,
Now, Stan, everybody knows that you were the shutdown corner. So what would
Yeah,
we call
you were the
Todd?
shut-
You were the real shutdown corner. What?
Well,
You were faster than Todd.
Well, I was the fastest guy on defense, so I was like,
Ah.
but as Todd Light, as my other great free safety, Pat Terrell would say, he goes, I had so many interceptions because I had Todd Light on one side, All-American, and then I had a white guy on the other side, so I kind of cheated on the white side. And I knew they'd throw that ball through, so that's why I got
Cheated
Right.
that way.
you know.
And then,
that's
I think
funny,
it was
man.
Corny Southall was.
Well, Corny was the starter my sophomore year.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
Yeah.
you had George
Mostly-
Streeter. who
And then
nobody
you
really-
had Juan Francisco with the famous
Yeah,
Francisco.
Streeter.
who was starting
Wasn't
strong
Streeter
safety.
the strong safety?
He was the starting strong safety my sophomore year.
Yeah, the 1988 year, Streeter was the strong safety.
Was he the
Isn't that
starter?
right?
No,
Yeah.
Hiawatha. I mean,
No,
DJ.
Dwan was the starting
Yeah.
free safety.
What?
DJ.
No. Really? In '88?
They were
I thought
fast, man.
Streeter was a starter. Maybe they
Wow.
split
I don't
time.
That's why I'm here at Cleveland Clinic getting my brain checked because I can't remember.
Exactly. All right, here we go. You are under the Golden Dome with the three amigos and Stan Smigala, South Chicago's finest. Let's jump into the game real quick, Frank. What did you think? We talked about it last week. We thought that Notre Dame's defense would shut down Stanford, and I predicted 42-14. What did you
You're
think
right
about
there.
the way the defense played? What do you think about the evolution of the offense? What was your
Well, I'll tell
overall
you, I
grade
think-
for the team?
Yeah, I thought the defense played like we, expected them to play. I was a little worried. That first drive, Stanford gets the ball. I think they go 12 plays, 60-some yards, burn about almost 6 minutes off the clock, and then score a touchdown. I'm thinking, man, that is not the quick start that Coach Freeman said that we needed to get corrected. But it was after that, the Irish never looked back and scored 49 unanswered points to win that game, and it was just a total domination. And, the defense held them scoreless the rest of the way. That defensive line, with the injuries that it had there, these kids, and I give credit to that coaching staff and and the teammates, is they're maturing fast. Both the offense and defensive line was some of the guys that had to come in and step up, next man up. And that speaks to the depth of what Notre Dame has now, is that they're playing at a high level in a hurry. The linebackers continue to play fast, they gang tackle, and the secondary is doing a nice job. I think they limited Stanford's offense to, say, 130 yards total. I think maybe 60-some yards on the ground. The rest of the balance was through the air. But, yeah, it was a total domination. Stanford's a quality team, not a strong team, but they were a quality team. So that was the outcome that I think you expected, and Mike and I agreed with you. And I know the coaches are glad to have that one under the belt going into Georgia Tech.
I want to just jump in on something that you said that I think is really different from the teams we've had. Everybody knows over the last couple of years we've really recruited well. And you can see the difference in that immediately because these young guys are being called to duty, because of the injuries. And shoot, they're stepping up and playing. I mean, what's his name? The kid that my son played against last year, Bryce Young, is making plays. We talked about what's the linebacker that played for the Bears' his son that plays free safety. That's a freshman.
Urlacher's son.
Urlacher's kid. I mean, shit. They got a left tackle or right tackle on the offense. It's a true freshman playing. We have 4 or 5 freshmen that are playing and making impact. So I think that's exciting to see. And I think I always thought Al Golden was a really good coach, but man, when you can make adjustments after that first drive, if you think about it, they had 60 yards or whatever, 63 yards, and for the rest of the game they have 65 yards. That's pretty impressive in my opinion. I don't know. What did you think? What did you guys think?
Yeah, that
Stoney,
was good.
Stoney, what did you think?
It started off, I'm with you guys. It started off, I'm watching the game. That first series was terrible, right? They threw the ball to number 5 like 3 or 4 times in a row. He dropped that one over the middle where he was breaking. His momentum was taking him. If he would have caught it, he would have run 40 yards on that play, and he dropped the ball. So, they turned the ball over in the first half. The first series, they let him drive down and score. And so Notre Dame gets the ball back, and their offense is running a play, and a kid gets a first down, and he gets up and he celebrates, and he does the first down move. I'm like, you're down 7 points. Like, why are you celebrating a first down? Like, that's what I don't get, about
the world we live in now.
I know. And then when the defense was on the field. It was 2nd and 10, and the backside linebacker shuffled, made a tackle for a 3-yard gain, and he got up celebrating. And I'm like, why are you celebrating a 3-yard gain on a tackle on 2nd and 10? Like, I don't understand how their minds work.
Listen, I'm with you on the celebration, but yeah, that just seems to be the thing to do now.
Yeah,
Everybody's
right. But I mean, that's when I watch. This is what I see, and this is what I pick up on, and this is what. Yeah. I don't understand it.
This is the TikTok era, Mike. Look at me.
I know it. But after those first couple series, then they put it on them, man. They hunkered down. They scored 21 points in the first half. I guess that the kicker got injured, so they started going for it on 4th down and put the pressure on the defense and started throwing the ball a little bit, threw the ball in the red zone, got a couple receivers, a couple touchdowns, and Wes and I had said, I said they were going to be in the 40s. Wes said 42-14. Frank, you said they're going to be in the 30s, just to let you know.
I thought I said 49-7.
No,
didn't I say 49?
You said in the
we had it. We had it. We had to go back and check the tape, Frank. You were wrong. All right, here, I want to bring up something else though, because
let me finish up Michael's point real quick. As far as the tackles for losses,
I want to talk about Riley
Hold
Lenard.
on.
Finish it up,
Finish
Mike.
on the
Go ahead.
tackles. As far as the defense, I was glad to see the penetration and the tackles for losses. 8 tackles for losses, 4 sacks. There was one other 8 tackles for 4 sacks. I think they they were winning on 4th down. I think Stanford went for it 4 times on 4th down. Notre Dame held them 3 times. So the defense making plays, and we know, all things being equal, you got to come out positive on the big play ledger to win games. Now they didn't really need, it didn't come down to the 6 or 7 plays that determine a game in a close game, but that goes a long way going forward that they might need this weekend.
Well, I think, we've talked about it, and we would argue in 1988, defense wins championships, and certainly having a good defense never gets, you're never out of the game. I mean, look at the game we lost, NIU. We only gave up 16 points. So, but I wanted to talk about the offense real quick, and I'm not an offensive guy, but, Riley Lenard, we've sort of made the point that he didn't play in the spring. He's getting to know the players on the offense. He's clearly a very good runner of the football. Why weren't we throwing the ball down the field? We've got good wide receivers. How did you guys think he played in this game?
Well, Stan and I aren't offensive guys, but we are here at the Cleveland Clinic. So maybe we can talk intelligently about the offense. I think Riley Lenard, I think he had his best game of the year. And when I look at it, what he needs to improve upon is his accuracy. He was 72% throwing the ball, and to me, that's a big part of a winning formula. He had 200 some yards through the air. He didn't throw an interception, and he complimented him, his game with, his running ability. So, that was to me that was his best game of the year, and right there at midseason. So, hopefully that offense is coming into their own and playing to where they need to play for, any kind of championship run. What do you think, Stan?
You know what? As long as a quarterback doesn't have the turnovers in college,
and you have a good defense.
They protect the football. You have a good defense. I think Notre Dame's going on the right path right now.
Mike, what do you think about the quarterback
doesn't
play?
lose the game for you?
Here's another play that I don't know the number. The wide receiver who caught the ball and the defensive back took it away from him for a turnover. Did you see that play?
I didn't.
I did not.
Come on, guys. What are you guys not watching the game or what?
There was a lot of really good games on, Mike. I'm not going to lie to you. My kids had. I was watching a lot of the other games. I'm not going to lie.
I might have went to the bathroom during that game. But no, go ahead and break it down for us, Mike. Give us the play-by-play on that.
It's just
this is your Mike. This is your time to shine.
Just not starting out the game the way you want to start it out. You know what I mean? Get your head. You can't, as a wide receiver, you can't let a defensive back do that to you. And as a defensive guy, it was a great play on him. The guy caught the ball. He had it relaxed in his arm. He ripped it right out of his arm and came up with the ball. So, it's hard to get a fumble. It's hard to get an interception. And so you can't let a defensive back treat you like that. That's all. I wouldn't have been too happy in the wide receiver meeting room if I would have let somebody treat me that way. I would have felt like I got violated, and I wouldn't have felt.
But would
very
you have
manly.
liked that?
That's all.
Being violated?
Well,
was that something
close
that you
your
were
eyes,
looking
it's all
to
the
get?
same, Wes.
Right.
Close your eyes, it's all the same.
Yeah. That's why they have lights. You turn them off. It's all the same.
Notre Dame finishes the game. They finish well. They get some playing time for the backups in the fourth quarter. Had that hour delay after the third quarter. Weather came in, hour delay, and then the backup quarterback comes in. A lot of guys are getting playing time. So that's great. That's good for to get the younger guys and the reserves on film the next day. So they can actually, not be sleeping in the meetings the next day, and we actually have to stay awake the entire time. And so, but that's good. That bodes well for the future. So,
and how about that? How about that defensive end intercepting that pitch out to the running back?
That was nice.
That was
That
pretty
was
awesome play.
Yeah,
you don't
that was
see that very often.
They're
that
athletic.
was
I mean,
good.
listen, our guys are athletic. Like, you don't see guys running by our guys. You're not getting, other than the NIU game, which I don't know that we were prepared mentally, we haven't really gotten pushed around. I think physically we look really good as a team on offense and defense. I think Riley Lenard's a really good athlete. I think he's a leader. I think he doesn't turn the ball over. He's a good runner. He's not a great drop back passer. but he does other things really well, and we got good defense. So, and our schedule's pretty easy. So,
Yeah.
I think our prospects are pretty decent.
So
All right, Stan.
Wait, let me make this last point. So Stan, we like to say the three of us serve as the board of directors for Marcus Freeman because we've been there, we've done that, we won a national championship. We saw a guy that really was at the height of his coaching game in Lou Holtz, and really saw how it was done. So I say that, I preface this next statement because I do have, and I get this more as I get older, and I used to get it when I was playing, but I think maybe more from a different perspective. But I get the red ass a little bit. We heard last week of areas of improvement is starting the game. Well, it's interesting. I just thought about this. Well, starting the game, starting the season, starting your career. I think the coaching staff, Marcus Freeman, could have done a better job of starting the season this year. And and that takes a hard accountability of oneself and the players. And I'm starting to see that now, that because of the loss at NIU, some coaches getting some red ass and making the players accountable and challenging the players and getting in their grill and really upping their game and getting them to pay more attention. So and so when I say, when he says start the season or start the game better, then he needs to also take into consideration how he starts his season, and I think he hopefully next year will do a better job of that. This year's certainly not lost. The playoffs are within reach. They're at 11 or 12, I forget what it was. But the challenge right now is, and we can talk about this later, is looking at that playoff, is trying to host a playoff game.
Well, I think the thing that's interesting too, Frank, you make some great points. Is it going to hurt Notre Dame going forward not being in a conference? Because they're never going to qualify as one of the top 4 teams that has a bye. So they're going to have to play the best they can be ranked. Even if they were the number 1 team in the country, they'd still be 5. Do you know that? Because they're going to take the 4 conference champions, the highest ranked in each conference is going to have a bye the first week. So, we'll see how it plays out. It's going to be interesting. It's a lot more fun than having 4. So I think it's long overdue. And
right now there are 6 one-loss teams ahead of Notre Dame in the top 12.
Interesting.
And Notre Dame won by 42 points this weekend, and they dropped a spot.
I saw that. I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't understand.
Yeah, so there are 6 one-loss teams, so...
I think when you lose to Northern Illinois for the guys that rate the teams, it's just they're going to put Notre Dame down more levels.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last week. I think the SEC, as strong as it is, they're going to have guys in there with 2 losses. They might even have an SEC team with 3 losses. I don't think Notre Dame can afford to have 2. Maybe they can. I think there's a lot more parity in college football. So I think because of this whole NIL and the transfer portal and all that, you've seen a lot of – I think the teams, to me, that are not as dominant as they have been in the past. I mean, there's a lot of – the middle-tier teams, if you are all playing the top guys really tough. So, I mean, look at all those SEC games this weekend and the week before. Unbelievable. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about – I mean, Frank, do you think the NIL and the transfer portal – is making college football have more parity?
I can tell you what I think.
Go ahead. Yeah, we want to hear from the guests.
I love that the players are getting paid. I think they should do something a little bit different. But we all were there at Notre Dame as a freshman, sophomore, junior. We had our systems that we learned. For a player, if I or one of us transferred to another team, to jump in a new system, I think it'd be difficult
Yeah.
to jump in there right away. We were fortunate we had 4 years to work on a system. You guys had 3, but Stoney and I had 4 years of the same system.
You guys needed it.
We needed it.
Well, you were in remedial studies, so you had to take that.
Right. But you know what? I think
Dan,
that
right. I said right.
But I think that makes these.
I only had 2 years, Stan.
But
He
then
was
you had
there
2 and
for
then
4,
extra
but he only
3.
could play 2.
Stoney's the only one that could have went anywhere and still fucking started in All-American.
Stan, is it true that you had to put an orange marker on your right arm so you knew where right was?
Well, I'm dyslexic, so this might be my right. I don't know which one is, but
I'll tell you. I got to tell you this.
but to the right of me is Frank Stams. That's all I know.
Hey, do you remember what was the guy? God, what is the guy's name? Marcus Cotton. Do you remember Marcus Cotton? He played at USC. He was an outside linebacker. And Andre Bruce was a stud outside linebacker, played at Auburn. When I got to the Falcons, they did not know their right from their left. So they had right was Florida and left was California. Because Marcus was from California, or no, it was Alabama and California. Because Andre Bruce was from Alabama and Marcus Cotton was from California. They couldn't do right and left.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's hard to believe. I learned that when I was a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
But going back to the
I learned in
NIL.
5th grade, the finest 4 years of my life.
Hey, if you can't figure out right or left, boy, oh boy, that's nuts. But going back to the NIL, I think that made all the teams equal. I think I agree with you, Wes. I think the play has gone down a little bit just because people transferring everywhere, learning the system. They're not working as a team. I don't think. I think it's difficult to work as a team.
I think you're going to see teams get a lot better as the year goes on, too.
100%. But I think the NIL should work at Notre Dame's advantage because, you take say you graduate from Alabama, say you graduate from, name any of the schools, and you have 1 year left. Why the fuck not go to Notre Dame?
Yeah. Well, they're getting a lot of post-grad guys.
Do 1 year Notre Dame. You play 1 year.
100%.
National TV again. Why the hell not? And
well, that's why I think we're getting more post-grad guys than most of the schools. I know in lacrosse, it's been a huge benefit because think about all the guys that played at Yale, all those great schools. They have a year of eligibility. They want to come play for Notre Dame, right? And so I think in lacrosse we're going to be dominant again this year. So anyway, let's go to the. Let's go to the game coming up this Saturday. A little bit very special game for me personally. I grew up in Atlanta. My dad, when I was growing up as a kid, a couple of the really famous Georgia Tech football players were friends with my father. You got John Heisman is from Georgia Tech. Bobby Dodd is from Georgia Tech. They have an enormous amount of history. And when I was a little kid, believe it or not, my dad would always take me to the Notre Dame Georgia Tech game because he had friends that were coaches at Georgia Tech, and I would get to go down on the field and get the players' autographs and all that. So it was always a very big deal for me as a kid. Flash forward 40 years, my oldest son is playing football for Georgia Tech, and our alma mater is coming to play Georgia Tech in Atlanta this weekend. So, God bless Lawson. He's a tough kid, grinder. They told him he was going to be redshirted. He came in, Dad. He's like, I'm busting my butt. These other guys are getting to play. I'm not traveling. I said, just stay focused. Your story hadn't been written yet. Well, long story short, he had a great couple of weeks of practice. Coach Key brought him up in front of the team this morning and told him he's dressing and he's playing on special teams. Let's go! How about that?
Yeah. And that's genuine.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's
So
So
anyway,
that's
my
great.
kid's first
Yeah.
game, he's potentially going to play against my
That's
alma mater
awesome.
in my hometown. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's all
Anyway.
you could wish.
What's that?
Yeah. So they're playing in what is it, Mercedes-Benz Stadium?
Yeah, they're
I
playing
think,
it. Playing in the dome. It's going to be.
Is that
So let's
Georgia
talk.
Tech?
Let's talk about the game. I mean, I probably watched Georgia Tech a lot more than you guys have. They're gritty. Their coach is tough. They're going to play Notre Dame tooth and nail. They clearly don't have the athletes we have. But if you look at their
let me
game
ask you a
last week
question.
against North Carolina, their quarterback ran. They had one running back ran for 170 yards, and the quarterback was over 100 yards. So their quarterback's thrown for 1,600 yards and run for 550 yards this year. It's pretty good. What do you guys takes on the game, Stoney? What do you think about the Notre Dame Georgia Tech matchup?
The Notre Dame Georgia Tech game playing this week. Georgia Tech is number 1 in rushing in the ACC.
Is that right?
Georgia Tech's defense is, I think, number 4 in the ACC against the defense. Georgia Tech is 9th in the ACC in passing offense. Georgia Tech is 10th in passing defense. So they can't pass the ball real well, and they can't protect the pass real well, but they can run the hell out of the ball, and they can tackle well. So, Notre Dame's got to get in there and what did we say this past week? Try to establish the run. Maybe you soften them up with the pass since they're showing a little weakness in the passing game, but you know how it is. Georgia Tech's going to come out. I know they don't think that they're a 2-loss team, and they got those little Southern boys down there who play with a little bit of chip on their shoulder. And so Notre Dame has to come in. They, had this blowout win. And so, all right, are you guys growing up a little bit? Are you guys going to focus a little bit? Forget last week. Get your new assignments. Get locked in and go down there and put it together against Georgia Tech. Take care of business.
You mentioned that chip on the shoulder that Southern boys play with. Does that go back to like the Civil War when you guys lost?
We're still pissed off about that, brother. We killed more people.
Anyways, so
how about
wait a
when
second.
when
You can
my
edit
mom?
this.
I can't remember who
No,
it
that's
was.
good. No, there's got to be a
Somebody was
reason
talking,
for
and my
that.
mom said, "Oh, Wesley, is he a Yankee?" I said, yes,
Yeah.
ma'am, he is a Yankee. That was you, Frank.
Yeah.
Frank, what do you
No,
think about the Georgia Tech?
Frank, the chip on the shoulder is it's a little bit hotter down here in the humidity.
Gotcha.
You're out here practicing in the humidity, and it makes you a little bit stronger than some other folks.
I'm more of a Greek American than I am anything
You're
else.
more of a Stamatopoulos.
Thank you very much. Yes. So, looking at
Frank,
the
what do you
game
think
now,
the keys are to the win? What does Notre Dame need
I'm
to do
getting to
against
that.
Georgia Tech?
So, where they're playing in the Mercedes Dome.
Yeah, it's in the dome.
Is that Georgia Tech's home field?
No, nope.
Well, why are they playing it there?
Because
more
I
people?
think Tech Stadium only seats like 45, 50,000, and the dome's a lot bigger, so it's a potential for a larger revenue.
Is that the Atlanta Falcons?
Yeah, that's where the dome is where they have the Falcons play. That's where the SEC championship game is.
Yeah.
That's where the Super Bowl is. I mean, it's a top-notch facility, big time.
So there's a couple things. I was listening to Marcus Freeman's press conference, and he addressed it a little bit, playing in a pro stadium because the numbers don't really match up, as they do in a college football field. And for most of our listening audience, they know that, but that does affect some of the alignments and landmarks that you do have more so offensively, but defense can affect too as far as the numbers and field position and alignment and all that. But, that's an easy adjustment. Anybody that graduated the second grade can make that adjustment. That gives Notre Dame a little bit of an advantage there. I think they have more players that graduated the second grade than Georgia Tech does. So I don't like the fact that Georgia Tech can run the ball. but I think that matches up very well with Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's strength is its defense, and I think the defense is playing at a high clip right now. Offensively, what scares me is that quarterback sounds like he's a playmaker for Georgia Tech, and anytime you have that, and you play fast, and you got a guy that knows what he's doing as far as scheming, they could catch Notre Dame. And Notre Dame's been caught before, and if that offense can score 25, 30 some points, it could be a long day for the Irish. But I see the Irish coming out ahead right now. I think they're playing well. I think they've got it on track. I think Marcus Freeman and his players are starting to mature. They've recovered from some of the injuries. So I see Notre Dame going down there. It'll be a tough game in the first half, but I think Notre Dame pulls away with it in the second half.
Well, Notre Dame's definitely got the better athletes, that's for sure. But I'll just tell you that Haynes King is Georgia Tech's quarterback. He was the starting quarterback at Texas A&M, graduated in 3 years, and now he's in his I think it may even be his 6th year, I think. So he's like 23, 24 years old. Tough kid from Texas, played Texas high school football. Just an absolute gem of a kid. He actually lives next door to my son. I've hung out with him a couple times. I mean, not like at length, but drives a pickup, like an old pickup truck, like just a good guy. Old school. He is a very old school player, but the bottom line is, do they have the Jimmies and Joes that Notre Dame has? And I just don't think they do. I think coaching's probably equal, if not maybe a little advantage to Notre Dame. And then, I think what you said, Frank, I think we're just too deep and we've got too many good players. And, but, I think Tech will play them tough. It always comes down. You get a couple of turnovers early in the game. You never know. You never know. I hope it's a good game.
Irish fans, you're under the Golden Dome with your host, Mike Stonebreaker, Wes Pritchett, Frank Stams, and our very special guest today, Stan the Hitman Smigala. He's going to give us his analysis on the game and his prediction.
Well, you know what? I just remember what our coach would always say, Lou Holtz. I think this goes with every team that Notre Dame is going to be playing right now. Is when you're bigger, Notre Dame's going to be bigger, stronger, faster. So as long as we're coached the right way, and we should always win. If it's not the first quarter, second quarter, we're definitely going to win the third quarter, fourth quarter, because we're just a better team. But it goes on coaching. Are they going to be prepared? If they're prepared, I think Notre Dame's going to win. They should win.
Well, they're 11-point favorites. I mean, there's no reason Notre Dame shouldn't win that game. But Tech's scrappy. They're going to come out and play hard. It's in their home backyard. We'll see. Notre Dame's going to have to execute.
Everybody, you know what I always look at? Every game we played, did you play any harder, Mike? For another game? We all played hard. I mean, every game's the same. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Right. So that's the, that's the question. Are these guys going to grow up and be able to come out there and forget last week and move on to the next week and play fundamentally sound football and take care of it?
That's the key right there. Mike just made the key.
What he said was 100% correct. I think if you go back and look at the best coaches like Holtz, Saban, all these old school guys, I mean, they were dictators. They were not. They weren't anybody's friend. Guys weren't coming over to their house and they were. It was just given that they were going to be complete assholes and dictators. I think it's tough. I think these coaches are trying to find their identity of. How do they push these kids and not be too rough on them and all that? I don't know. It's a weird world. I can tell you one thing about Brent Key. He is not anybody's friend, and he is a MF, man. He gives it to those kids like I have never seen it. I mean, I love it, personally. But I think Marcus, I don't know what Marcus is like in practice. Have you guys ever seen him in practice? What's he like?
I have no idea.
No, never.
No idea. See, he seems like a player's coach.
We should do the next show from the practice field.
Live at Notre Dame Stadium.
Right. Yeah.
Boots on the ground?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. So what, your prediction for the game on Saturday? Do you have a score prediction?
I don't have a score, but I truly believe Notre Dame's going to win.
I have a score. I think is our kicker still injured? I don't know, but I don't think they're going to be kicking. I don't think they're going to be kicking any field goals, and so the score is going to be 35-17. Thank you.
We also have, I like it, Mike. We also didn't talk about the fact that our best cornerback's out for the season. Joe, did you guys hear about that? Morrison is out for the year.
Blew his hip out.
Huh?
Blew his hip out.
Yeah, I saw that, Wes. Benjamin Morrison, I believe.
Benjamin.
But the backup, a kid named Moore, I want to say, he's an underclassman. Really a lot of promise. Has gotten some legitimate snaps to this point in the season, and Marcus Freeman is very high on him.
Good.
And he's, and to me, that's just one more example of
what we were talking about.
What they need to compete, at the highest level is not so much the depth, but the quality of the depth that they have. And I understand this Moore kid is a kid that is going to step right in and really provide, maybe not a weak link where you'd see an offense go after him right away. So, that's impressive. That's very impressive. I like Mike's prediction on 35-17. I'm going to say 36-16 is the score, and I like Notre Dame to cover the 11. I like their chances of getting into the playoff at the end of the year.
All right.
You know what I think you guys should do? You should have a little side screen here and throw some bets. Should have a little betting screen in there. See how you guys do for the season.
Ooh, I like that a lot.
Tally
up.
And we always
you guys all chip in there and throw it in there.
FYI, the Irish they have covered every game but one, by the way. Just FYI.
I didn't know that. All right, Irish fans.
Wait a minute. I haven't had my prediction.
Stoney's had enough of this episode. He's texting me, close this up. So go ahead,
all right,
Wes.
I'll do a final prediction. I say the Irish win 42-28.
I like it. Another big day for the offense. All right, I like it.
I don't think Tech's going to be able to slow them down.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us week 7. Irish are currently 5-1 with Georgia Tech up next, the Rambling Wreck. We're all in consensus that Notre Dame is rolling and will roll in this game. We want to thank our very special guest, the one and only Stan, the Hitman Smigala.
Thank you, Stan, from the Cleveland Clinic.
A great guy, a great teammate, a lot of fun, a great athlete, all the above, and we're really grateful.
I'd like to thank Frank, Stoney, Pritchett for letting me join you guys. Stoney, you look amazing. That Hall of Fame
Thank you, Stan.
made you even look better. It's impossible, but it looks fantastic on you.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
All right. Well, thank you, Irish fans, for another episode of Under the Golden Dome.
I'm kind of curious to see how many books. Hey, Wes, did you read any of those books behind you?
I did, Stan. Actually, I've read them all twice. I read them, and then I read them with Braille.
Oh, wow. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good with my fingers.
This is
Alumni Media.